everyone, this is Rae. I'm here from Willow Gardens Yoga Studio in Buda, Texas with my friend Ruth, and we're going to give you a tutorial on how to do a headstand. Kids really love to practice their headstands, but we have to make sure that we're practicing them in a very safe way and with some assistance if the child needs the assistance. Now we're going to do a tutorial today off the wall. You can always go to the wall to practice your headstands, and you can do everything that we're doing today against the wall. But I'm going to show you how to do some assist in the headstands if you feel comfortable with the child away from the wall, or if you're a kid and you're working on your headstands and your headstands are getting stronger and stronger, eventually you'll want to move away from the wall, and this tutorial will help you get into the proper body alignment as well as knowing how to hold the body upright in a proper way to hold your headstand for a few moments. The first type of headstand that we're going to take is called a tripod supported headstand. And Ruth is going to show you the variation that most of us start learning headstands in when we're kids. And she's going to go ahead and take the head. So her hands are flat, her elbows are going to be bent, and don't put the knees on the elbows yet. Just keep the elbows bent, and then she's going to come onto the head. Just like, yeah. So bend the elbows onto the head. Okay, now she's going to take the knees, and each knee is going to come onto each arm. She's going to try to lift the feet up, and that is your tripod headstand. And this is already a headstand, so even without lifting the legs up into a full inversion, you can still call yourself doing a headstand because you're already inverting. So you can come off of there, give the head a little rest. You may also notice that she has her mat doubled over. We have hardwood floors here in the studio, so it can be pretty hard on the head. So I always tell my kid students to double their mat over or use a soft cushiony mat when they're first learning. Eventually you get really strong in your headstands and you can do them right on the hardwood floors and you don't really even feel much pressure on the head. But while you're learning, it's better to have a little bit of extra cushion, however not too much cushion. So no blankets or pillows under the head, that's not good for the neck. You still need to have a very firm surface, just a little bit of extra padding by doubling over the mat or using a thicker mat. So Ruth is going to show you that variation again from the side, just so you can see how to get the knees up on the arms. So she's going to come back in, hands are flat. She's going to bring the head to the floor, her elbows are bent, and notice her arms are like little stools on a table. So she's going to bring the knees up, hips up first, then knees, and she's going to place the knees onto the arms. So come off of that real quick, Ruth, and then come into it with your hips up first before you put the knees on. So now she's going to come into the same thing, but I've asked her to lift the hips first. This gets you into the balance without having to initially bring the knees up, and it gets you more comfortable being on your head. Now, once the hips are up, she can start to move the knees onto the arms in a more comfortable way and hopefully feel a little bit more stable in her tripod headstand. And this looks really stable, so you can come down, give your head a little rest, and then I'm going to show you how to lift the legs up from the tripod headstand. So if you could stay facing me if you don't mind, and then we're going to come up, and I'm going to show you what the assist looks like when the child, or whoever you're assisting, it doesn't have to be a kid, it can also be an adult, is going to lift the legs up. She's going to bring the head down, come onto the tippy toes, lift the hips, and then bring the knees onto the arms. So here she's going to really engage through the core. Everything is lifting. She's putting pressure in the hands and pressing through the shoulders as she slowly starts to lift the legs up. And I'm just going to barely assist her on the way up. So I'm barely touching her hips here as she lifts her legs up. And then that's about as far as she wants to go right now. So notice I'm just barely guiding her feet back down. So she's in a headstand pike. And that's as far as she wanted to go. I could tell with her the way her body language was, and that she wasn't super comfortable right now lifting her legs all the way up. And that's okay. So it's really good to make sure that you're aware of what the child is ready to do. Okay, let's try that one more time. Now let's see if she's ready, a little bit more comfortable to get the legs lifted straight up. So now she's going to bring the legs up, straight up, And now I'm just going to guide her feet because I know she can do it. So I'm just barely guiding the feet. So notice I'm not grabbing her, I'm not holding onto her. I'm just barely guiding so that she's comfortable. Now I'm going to take my right arm and I'm just going to hold on to the thigh so that she can get into her proper body alignment, and clearly she's ready to come down, right? I think that was her sign. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was sort of her sign that she's ready to come out of the headstand. And notice how I wasn't grabbing hold of her, I wasn't wrapping my arms all the way around her. You want to be very light with your assist. So if the child or whoever you're assisting isn't ready to come up or lift up, then it's okay. Just have them stay in the tripod headstand until they're ready to start lifting the legs. You want to try one more time? Or? All right. So we're going to try to get the legs all the way up this time. So she's going to stay really tight in her tripod. She's going to come up. She's going to lift the legs. I'm barely guiding, but this time I'm going to guide her feet back toward me a little bit. So notice how her feet are too far back, so keep your legs really straight. So I'm hanging on to her a little more tightly this time so that I can guide her into the proper body alignment. Now point your toes, everything's really strong. Make sure that the person you're assisting knows that you have them, knows that they're safe, and then hold on to it, hold on to it. I'm going to bring my hand back to the waist and let her come back down. Very nice, good job, Ruth. All right, so the next type of headstand that we're going to demo is an unsupported tripod headstand. So Ruth, you can try this if you want to, and I'll assist you, but I'm going to show you real quick how to get into it so that you all can try it when you're ready. So it's basically the same thing that Ruth just did, except now we're not using the arms as a table. We're just going to lift the legs straight up into the headstand. So the hands are flat, head comes on the floor. Notice that my arms are bending. I'm lifting my hips. I'm going to walk my toes up toward my face a little bit, and now I'm just going to lift one leg. I might want to just stay right here, or I might be ready to start to slowly lift the other leg up and then coming back down. So now Ruth will try, and I'll assist her as she comes up into the unsupported tripod headstand. So she's going to lift the hips, start to walk the feet up closer to her face. And then she's going to start to lift the legs. So notice her knees this time did not come onto the arms first. I'm just guiding her feet back a little bit. Straighten the legs, point the toes, point, strong, 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 everything's strong. Now her headstand is very strong, so I'm going to ask her on the next one, go ahead and come down. She can come down on her own now. She's getting more comfortable, I can tell. So on the next one, I'm going to ask her to hold herself up. I'm going to put my hand in between her legs and I'm going to tell her to squeeze my fist. Because what's happening with Ruth's headstand is that you're getting up and then you're kind of bending your knees a little bit. So if you put your hand in between the legs and you have them squeeze onto your wrist, then it forces the legs to be straight and it forces the body to tighten up. So that's a really great assist, but the student has to be pretty far along in the headstand in order for them to feel comfortable with squeezing onto the wrist. So let's try that one. Are you ready to try that one? You're good? All right. So let's start with the side. Face me. It's hard because it's okay. Now this time, let's bring the hips up. Keep the legs straight. Now, just one leg at a time. So she's going to bring the legs up. Now, both legs. That's it, Ruth. Perfect. Now, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Squeeze my wrist. You got it. That's it. So now she's practically holding herself up in the headstand, but she's squeezing onto my wrist. And then you can go ahead and come down so that she knows that she's still safe because she feels my hand there. But notice that time she was doing much more of the headstand on her own than she was when I was assisting her before. Good job. All right, one more. This is a supported headstand. So for this one, a lot of students feel more comfortable because your hands are actually wrapped around your head. So depending on how you learn your headstand, some people find this one more comfortable, some people find the tripod more comfortable. So you just have to feel it out, but I definitely recommend trying both ways so that you can see what works best for your body. All right, so this time you're going to interlace your fingers around the head and you're going to wrap the hands around the top of your head. So she's basically hanging on to the head with the palms of her hand. And so she has a really nice support support here through the forearms, and she's gonna press into the forearms and the elbows as she lifts the hips up. She can stay here. This is still a headstand. She's inverted, or she can start to lift up. And here she goes. She's doing this one on her own. So she probably feels a little bit more comfortable coming up in the supported headstand than she did in the tripod. So now her legs are up, very nice. Let's try that one more time. I'm gonna give her an assist so that I can help her get into the proper body alignment with the legs straight up over the hips. One more time. So she's gonna come up on her own. Now I'm just gonna help guide her feet, just a little bit. Nothing too fancy, straighten the legs, there you go. Now I'm going to help her bring the legs back a little bit over the hips, point the toes, everything's strong. She's lifting, she's pressing, and then she's gonna come down. Very nice, Ruth. And so that is the supported headstand. And which one did you like better?
I like the supported.
She likes the supported, how come?
It just like feels because you're like closer to the ground, it feels better.
Okay, so she says because you're closer to the ground, that's definitely true. You also have more to balance just with the hands in the tripod. So see how the arms are lifted off the floor? And when you're in your supported headstand like this, you have all of your arms on the floor, so you have a little bit more surface area on the ground. So you are actually farther from the ground when you're doing your tripod headstand, so the balance becomes a little bit more of a challenge. But that's also part of the fun, right? Is part of the challenge. All right, good job, Ruth. Thank you all so much for joining us. That's a quick tutorial on how to get your student up into a headstand with a little bit of support and help from the teacher, but not too much. You definitely don't want to overdo it with the assist. If you feel like the student needs to go to the wall, then that probably means that the student should go to the wall and then eventually work their way off the wall in order to get up without using any support, okay? Thank you so much, Ruth, for joining me and demoing this tutorial. And thank you all so much for being here with us. We're signing off from Little Gardens Yoga Studio in Buda, Texas. Namaste.